Promoter Frank Warren believes Dubois can shock the formidable Usyk and the world on August 26 and beat the formidable Ukrainian to win the IBF, WBO and WBA titles when they fight in Poland. He says, "I'm confident because I believe in him," Warren told Sky Sports. Usyk is a very, very good fighter. He's a great cruiserweight. He's done everything that's been asked of him. But I look at fights. I don't just look at their last performance. Usyk is returning to the ring after 12 months out since defeating Anthony Joshua on points for a second time to defend his unified titles. But Warren noted that Usyk had demonstrated vulnerabilities in previous fights, particularly when faced with relentless pressure. When he fought against Derek Chisora, there was nothing in that fight until Chisora ran out of gas towards the end when he wore him out. But there wasn't anything in that fight early on, the promoter said. I look at Usyk against AJ for the first fight. AJ wasn't at the races. He was a bit better in the second fight, but for me, AJ's not firing like he was anyway. He showed that in his last fight. He's not the fighter he once was. The promoter firmly believes that Dubois' youth, strength and determination can threaten Usyk. Dubois has been rebuilding from losing to Joe Joyce in 2020, although Kevin Lerena did cause the Londoner some problems in his last bout. He went down on 3 occasions in the first round and suffered a knee injury, but rallied to halt Lerena in the 3 rounds. Daniel in his last fight, I don't think he warmed up properly, and he got caught on the top of the head, Warren said. You've seen on numerous occasions the vulnerability when someone gets caught like that. He got caught, went over, and as he did, he tore his ligament, which is a fact. He's had it operated on. He gritted his teeth and came through that. He took a count twice, didn't get knocked down again, took a count twice and then gritted his teeth and done what he had to do. That answered a lot of questions. This will be Dubois' first fight with new trainer Don Charles, but Warren emphasised that the young Briton had the potential to deliver a monumental upset. After the fight, the result will be the result, no matter what I say. But if I genuinely didn't think he had a great chance, I would have held up on it. I wouldn't have pushed forward for the mandatory defence. I would have held up by fancying big time in the fight, the veteran promoter said. Okay, so that's the views of Daniel Dubois' promoter, Frank Warren. You wouldn't expect anything less from Frank Warren, or as Hackman Strikes Back calls him, Bricktop. Just a bit of fun with the Bricktop thing. I'm sure he doesn't take any offence. He's going to defend his fighter, but let's break it down. Okay, Frank Warren cited Usyk's fight's not been impressive against an underpar Joshua. For me, Usyk was in third gear against Joshua in both fights, and he won comfortably against a top-tier fighter in Joshua who's got mad power. For me, he got more power than Dubois, got better boxing ability. I think he's got longer reach. He's better all round, far better than Dubois, and he sort of picked Joshua apart. You could argue that Joshua didn't let it all go, but there's a reason for that, because every time he let her in the first fight, he threw a big right. He got tagged straight away with a counter, and that's just the levels that Usyk fights at. If you look at let's go back to the Joyce fight for Dubois. He suffered a terrible eye injury, but in that fight, he was trying to put pressure on Joyce. Now, Joyce, we know, is notoriously slow with his hands. I thought that was his best fight for Joyce. He got behind the jab. He controlled the fight with the jab, peppered Dubois. When Dubois was hurt, kept on targeting the eye. I don't blame Dubois for taking a knee. A lot of macho men will say, "Oh, he should have fought on," and real men would have fought on. Well, I guarantee you 90% of them haven't had a bad eye injury, because if you had, when you're feeling your face and it feels like it's sort of giving way and you're thinking you might lose your sight, etc., I would never call anyone out for making that decision to fight another day. He's a young man at the end of the day. He's got a long career. However, he was comprehensively beaten by Joyce. Then look at the fight Joyce had with Zhang. Zhang lit him up. Now, Zhang's got fast hands, but he's not as fast as Usyk. Okay. Now, he's got long reach as well, Zhang. But, that fight, it wasn't a good fight from Joyce. I think if Joyce hadn't got injured, he may have got him later on, because Zhang does tend to tire. But, for me, there's no chance whatsoever that Dubois goes from losing to Joyce, getting knocked down 3 times against a journeyman, basically, where it doesn't matter if you got hit on the top of the head. He was all over the place, and he was done massive favours in that fight by the. I think one of the rounds, it was like 2 minutes 30. They did absolutely everything to make sure, even when they stopped the guy, to make sure he got through that fight. You know, Bricktop pulled all the strings he could from ringside on that to help his guy out. Now, when you talk about vulnerabilities, I don't see any vulnerabilities in Usyk. People talked about his body being vulnerable to the body, etc. And really, clutching at straws. He's so strong all around. Usyk, not many vulnerabilities at all. That's why he's so good, and he's one of the best boxers in the world. However, Joyce, a number of vulnerabilities. You know, I feel that he's susceptible to shots, as we saw in his last fight. Even though it's top of the head that kind of scramble you. But we saw against Joyce as well. Joyce stopped him, so he's vulnerable in that way. And also, he sort of runs out of ideas when he can't, when he's out jabbed, or his pressure's not working. You know, he's got a lack of sort of experience. Although he is powerful, he's got physical attributes, and one thing he has got on his side is his youth. But in this fight, as much as I understand why Frank Warren's, you know, as his promoter, is bigging him up and trying to make the fight more competitive than it is, and I am interested in the fight. I'm always interested in a young up and coming fighter versus, you know, one of the best. You know, I've got no issues with this fight. But for me, there's no value in any bet. I just don't see any chance unless Usyk injured himself or something. I just can't see him getting tight, clean. Usyk's got a really good chin as well. It's just no chance. Anyway, that's just my 2 penneth on it. Put your comments in the, you know, your thoughts and comments. Do you think there could be a shock on the cards? Do you think he might pull? You think Frank Warren's right and he might shock the world? I'll stand corrected if he does. Okay, guys, take care.